Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
Okay, just so we have a number of cases. We have a limited calendar this afternoon, but I see some new faces here. The way we're going to go through it is basically we have 3 cases on the calendar. We're going to do them in order. One's a carryover from this morning. When we call the case, we ask that if you are going to take part, we're going to ask the applicant to come up. We'll bring them up here. The applicant will everybody will get sworn in. The applicant will present their case. Then if there's any opposition or any witnesses, they will all be given an opportunity to give their testimony. When the case is completed, we will close it. It goes on a decision calendar. Most cases get decided today. When it does not get decided today, it will go on a reserve calendar or a referral calendar that could be decided in the future. Everybody that signs in will get a copy of the decision once it's read. So if he signs in, that's fine. You will get a copy of the decision. We ask that when you come up, you speak clearly, speak slowly. Our court reporter who's sitting over here has to take down the transcript, so everybody's got to get it down. So please try and get it, speak so she can understand. Also, this is on a live feed from the Town of Hempstead website, and it is also archived, so it's available for future reference also. We only have, as I said, a limited number of cases. Are there any requests for any adjournments? And if not,
Mr. Chairman, do not have any requests for adjournments. I'd like to recall here from this morning, case 71822 through 71922, Levittown, David Bynum, special exception to maintain accessory structure, woodshed, exceeding horizontal maximum, special exception to maintain second accessory structure, plastic shed not permitted in the side yard with less than required side yard setback, known as 22 Moss Lane. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, will the truth, something you got? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Brand. I'm from Long Island Perfect Permit, 124 Front Street, Suite 205, Massapequa Park, Roman 762. I am the agent representing David Bynum. He is the owner of 22 Moss Lane, Levittown, Section 51, Block 154, Lot 6. The application was filed to maintain 2 sheds. The first shed is located in the rear of the yard. It is 14 feet 2 3/8 inches in length, where 12 feet is left. The second shed is located on the east side of the dwelling. It is the secondary structure. The shed is located on the side yard with 1 foot setback, where 2 is required. Since there is no garage, there is an in-ground pool, and the family has multiple children. The client is trying to utilize as much storage as possible. The large shed was installed about 5 years ago. The smaller shed was installed about 2 years ago. None of the neighbors have any issues with both sheds being maintained on the property. There are no open permits. The pool was sealed this year in May, and the plumbing has been built out.
all right, did you give us the actual measurements on the sheds?
I did.
Okay. Are you aware, are there any objections from any of the neighbors?
No.
Here, and we have, there's an open permit that goes back to 2009. Are you aware of that?
I didn't show any open permits. Everything has been closed out.
Pool's been closed out?
Yes.
And it's the 2009 relocate house something or other. Maintained to, what things have been scribbled here. Well, again, just to make sure that there's nothing else out there. Okay.
What's the height of the shed? I know you're not here, just want to make sure.
I have the shed height at 8 feet 6 inches.
Great, going on.
Okay. Answer case.
That is my case.
Do you have any other questions from the board?
The shed on the small plastic shed, where is that? The plastic shed?
It's on the east side of the property.
That's the 5'9" by 7'8".
Mm-hmm.
Can that be moved? It completely blocks that side yard, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what the board wants, I can ask them. They're here to try and maintain it where it is, to not have it removed.
The plastic shed.
Correct.
The No, on the other side, you have a maximum of 5 feet. Right?
To move the shed to the other side of the property?
No, for emergency access.
Oh, yes.
I think that's why Mr. Pellegrini says.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board?
Move that the hearing be closed and that be placed on the decision calendar. You will be notified by mail of the court's decision once it's ready.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good
All in
afternoon.
favor?
Bye.
Opposed?
Next, we have case 72922 through 73222, Unidale, Peter Lambros, doing business as St. Michael's Home Incorporated. Use variance to convert attached garage to restrooms, special exception for accessory structure, restrooms higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum on both sides, special exception to parking in the residence B district, additional parking, install attached monument sign not permitted in a residential B district, install attached monument sign not permitted in a residential B district, install attached service entrance sign not permitted in a residential B district, also known as 1220 Front Street. Anybody else here speaking?
Before you, I see a number of people signed in on this case, but nobody signed in as opposed. Are you all just interested in the case, or are you opposed to it? Well, you don't know yet.
We have questions.
Okay, all right.
So you're interested?
So, is there, we're going to wait in swearing anybody in, so if you have questions, then we'll swear you in later. All right, so we're going to start with the applicant's case, and then we'll see if you have any questions or what you want to say. All right?
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? So just take the decision you have for the record.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Richard M. Bavone, 308 East Meadow Avenue, East Meadow, appearing as the agent for the St. Michael's Home, Inc. And I'm respectfully requesting all cases be heard at one.
So moved.
Okay, so with me today are the following people that are here, questions need to be answered. Nick Chartalis, the left of me, who's a board member for the St. Michael's Home, Inc. Michael Pacilio to the right of me, professional engineer with Cameron Engineering, and Marlon Cruz, which is seated in the first row. To the left, he's the project manager from the architectural firm and licensed architect. We have 4 cases, which 3 of the 4 are signs, and 1 is a modification from a previous grant that this board issued in 2014. I'm submitted 3 exhibits for make this hopefully easier to understand what we're trying to do. Exhibit 1 is a proposed sign on 1 sheet. Exhibit 2 is a copy of page 2 of the previous grant with conditions that the board issued in 2014. Exhibit number 3 is a copy of the previous site plan that was approved by the board in 2014. That will help explain the modification of the changes that have been made since the 2014 grant.
You said you were up.
But nothing's listed as modification. Is it just because, in other words, which of the items are modifications and which of them are new? Or
I'll go through the whole thing. I think it'll be clear once I present it. And I gave you 1 sheet each. It makes it easier to understand and see the site plans from the previous approval.
that's relevant.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's what I'm here for, Mr. Pavone. All right, continue.
Okay, we'll start with proposed modifications of the approved parking. The overall proposed renovation is to a previous St. Pius campus, now known as St. Michael's, and has not changed from the grant of 2014. So what this board approved back in 2014 is being constructed. What is being modified is the parking spaces that will be on the property approved by this board. On page 2 of the September 10, 2014, which was case 1448-1449, St. Michael's Home Inc., in number 3, it says, should on-site parking become inadequate for the site at any time in the future, the applicant shall construct new parking lot on the subject premises in the area designated future parking, 67 proposed stalls, land bank, on the applicant's site plan dated 4/28/14 and marked as applicant's exhibit 1 at the public hearing of 9/14/2014. So since 2014, a permit was issued by the building department for construction and renovation of the existing St. Pius campus, which was vacant.
Which is undergoing
Renovation is time. The project was shut down due to COVID-19. Construction stopped, which had to do with rising costs, the ability to have manpower, and also comply with the COVID compliance issues. So construction stopped for a couple of years. It's now started up again. But during that time, during that downtime, the modifications were made to the site plan, which I have the site civil engineer here to answer any questions, which is at the direction of the Board of Directors and also New York State Board of Health. Since this type of facility, New York State Board of Health inspected, and operationally they felt that the circulation around the site, if you look at the previously approved plan in 2014 and what is being proposed now, it's similar in nature. It's just that certain things were taken out as far as like where ramps were and where there was drop-off or loading. So it was created to fix some issues from the design, but also maintain the parking that was approved back in 2014. However, in the wisdom of the Board of Directors, they felt at this time that instead of waiting as directed by the grant that was issued in 2014, they felt it was necessary to put the parking, the future parking in now.
Right, Mr. Bowman, the one you gave us was 2 sheets long. The first sheet, is that what was approved then? And the second sheet, proposed modification now, or?
You have, yes, so C1 was the 2014 approved site plan that the board granted. C2, which is the second sheet, which has a revision date of 5/12/2022. That is now the submitted amendment to the building department, which then brought us to this hearing today.
Okay, but, and then, what I saw in the future parking, 67 were those stalls. What I thought I heard you say is, rather than the future stalls on the now, on this second sheet, they aren't there anymore, which is the rear yard setback.
It's not there yet.
Oh, I thought I must have misunderstood. I thought you said that instead of, in the wisdom of the board, instead of having those future stalls, we're going to just get them now.
We're proposing to install them now and not wait for the time that they may need them in the future.
But on my C2, they're not shown at all on the capital ranking report.
No, and again, that was going to be part of what my presentation was originally. So the approved site plan from 2014 shows the land bank parking
So you moved it, that's
to be in the rear yard, but to the southeast of the property. And now we're proposing it in the southwest of the property. So the new parking installed, future parking spaces increases the overall parking to 205 spaces. The difference is 130 parking spaces from the 2014 approval. we've included the previous bank parking as that number.
Mr. Vaughn, the difference is an increase or decrease?
It's an increase, a substantial increase.
Keyword, thank you.
Yes. So we feel that at this point, this will keep any vehicles from parking in the neighborhood on residential streets. It will keep the employees parked in one area, which would be which we're proposing in the southwest area being employee parking. And then the remainder of the parking space is being used more for operational when people visit this center, to visit anybody that's there from a family, and including that they have the additional spaces where initially the grant was only 75 parking spaces. So there's a substantial increase in parking spaces that are being installed if this board approves it, and also in compliance with the original grant from that time, but just in a different location, still providing and complying with what was approved back in 2014.
Why are you moving this parking? Just to make it more? Because I love that landscape area with that historical.
I'm going to let the engineer answer that.
One second.
Good afternoon, it's Mike DeGilio with Senior Associate with County Engineering, 177 Crossways Park Drive, Woodbury, New York. The reason for the move was really to consolidate, is to better consolidate, and as Mr. Tribble said, there was a lot of direction from New York State Board of Health as to really what they wanted, how they want to see this facility better consolidated, better utilized. So there was a lot of their direction, but it was also to consolidate it rather than take up, because where it was shown was actually right in the prime area of that large lawn area. So I believe it was the Board of Health had wanted it to leave a little bit more recreational area instead of using it for parking.
Yeah, it's just not obvious on the map, because in either case it's attached to one of the side lots, and to take the same number on the other end, you lose that beautiful landscape area with the, I don't know if it exists or not, but the circular piazza or whatever it is.
Yeah,
It's just there. For whatever reason, you just determine it's better attached to the other side. And then what would the green space be used for?
Excuse me, my name is Nicholas Gertalis. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for St. Michael's Home. We want to keep basically the rear area is going to be used for recreational space for the residents, for the visitors, and we do expect some when the facility is visited by youth groups, things like that. We would have gatherings in the backyard. So in essence, we want to just keep it as intact as possible and use it, once in a while for small gatherings of groups that visit the home.
Something that, I guess based upon what you just said, I assume that's why you want to convert the garage to a separate bathroom used by people that are outside?
Yeah, I'll explain that also, just about to get to that part of the signs. But to answer your question, originally that garage, detached garage, was used by St. Pius for a landscaping company for many years. There was actually another building attached to it, which has been removed. So they're repurposing the detached structure for a seasonal use for bathroom facilities. Anybody that's outside, if there's an event on the outside, if anybody visits the property, they're outside, they're able to go and use that. It's not going to be for public use and open at any time where anybody from anywhere can just walk in and on the property. The property is controlled, and it will be used specifically for the residents and their guests that come to the facility. It makes it a lot easier instead of walking into the actual building.
You want to just put the numbers on the record?
So, but also I wanted to make a statement because one of the neighbors had requested a question to be answered before I go back, that whether or not that the garage converted to a bathroom will be connected to a sewer system. And now, my answer to that, and I'll put it on the record, was that in Nassau County, you're required to have a sewer connection. There is no cesspool in this area that's permitted since 1976. So to do that, we would have to have a licensed plumber file an application to propose the bathroom renovation, secure a plumbing permit, and also secure inspections and connecting to the sewer system. However, the engineer of record of the MEP set of drawings will be connected properly as per Nassau County requirements, Town of Hempstead Building Department requirements, Plumbing Division of the Building Department, including the Building Code of New York State.
Do you want to just put the height larger and horizontal rather than?
So the detached garage is approximately 10 feet in height. It's not changing in the size of the structure itself, and it's approximately 24 by 29. And it's set east of the west property line by, again, I'm giving you an estimate, it looks like about 60 feet from that property line.
24 by 29,
Yes, that is correct.
696 square feet, we're 140 foot wide.
Right. So it's a small structure, seasonally used, and will be shut down during the winter and locked up. The next part of the variance are proposed 2 low-profile monument signs, which would be one entrance and also one entrance pylon sign. The 2 monument signs are positioned at the east and west entrances, which is on the northerly property line, which is noted on the site plan, and they're actually, as I see it, almost closer, it's about 10 feet off of the property line, and the actual, I gave you a color picture of that pylon sign. So the pylon sign itself, the monument sign itself would be 5 foot, 5 inches in height, and 13 feet, 2 inches in length. And they will just have the name of the facility on both entrances from east and west. Those are monument signs. They're listed on the drawing A461.00. That's the color drawing that I gave you.
But not all colors, so
The ones I submitted should be
for
colored.
this one.
Yeah.
We're trying to locate exactly where it is on the site.
Can I approach? And I'll
See
show
your
you.
work.
In Spanish, that's
So the 2 monument signs, as noted on the exhibit that we submitted, be 10 foot from the property line, and there'll be enough clear sight as a vehicle enters and exits for Front Street for vehicular visibility. The pylon sign, which has been requested, is approximately 4 foot by 4 foot 4, and it's located approximately 180 feet away from the front property line. Basically, it's a directional sign when you get into their interior roadway to be able to figure out which way to go in reference to the parking and the facility itself. The use has not changed. We're not requesting any modifications to what has been previously approved by the building department. This is really a modification of parking layout, we're requesting for the additional parking spaces, which is a substantial increase from what was originally approved. We believe that we meet the balancing test. This does not have any negative impact on the community. One question from one of the neighbors on the Oakley Street, the gate that's represented on that site plan is for emergency use only, which was part of the 2014 hearing, and also part of the local fire department requested that so that they could have fire apparatus enter and exit the property if needed to get into the property, the rear property. But it will be locked, will be closed up, and only used for emergency needs and repairs.
Mr. Ramon, would it make sense for you to submit to us how you would like condition 3 to read, so that we can consider whether or not that makes sense, given that you know what's going on? In other words, the one we want to modify, if in fact we vote to do
We
so.
can do that, we can submit a document.
So that we're clear on exactly what you need to achieve, because we're sort of changing from, in the future you'll do this, to let's do this now. So maybe it makes sense to
I could have that submitted.
propose some.
As a modification to the number 3 on
Yeah,
the previous
we would
one.
prefer you modify condition 3 to read as follows. Okay, just lend, help us understand what your proposal is.
Will do.
Also, since on the amended plan you showed the relocation of the parking lot, the original plan showed sort of a landscape plan. This one does not. Do you have a plan or something showing what it's going to look like in the non-parking lot section?
Sure, there is a landscape plan. We can submit. I don't think it was submitted as I said. But there is a landscape plan provided, and it does have evergreen screening. I should say, very correctly, it wasn't one provided. However, there was one prepared, and so it does. We do propose the evergreen screening around the entire border, around that parking lot, and then the larger area where the originally land-bank parking was going to be is going to be basically an open lawn area, similar to how it was back in the St. Pius days.
So if it was not submitted, we get that submitted to us so that we can see it?
Yes.
And Mr. Vaughn, now that I again read through it, it may be the case that what you're asking us to do, I'm not clear. So Judge Paul, it may be that you're asking us to eliminate condition 3 and simply grant the new configuration. I don't know. You figure that out.
Okay.
And maybe that would give us something to consider when we deliberate.
Understood.
Okay.
Does the town board have to re-review this for site plan approval?
That's a decision that the building department have to make. If we have to go back for a modification of the 305 site plan, it could be done possibly through administrative,
Understood.
through the commissioner of buildings.
Okay. It has already received 305.
It has received the 305 with the building permit or not.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Bowman, anything else?
No.
All right, folks that are out here in the audience, what I'm going to do is, I don't know who has questions, but if you have a question, what I'd like you to do, if I can, if you want to come up, Mr. Bavone, if I can ask you to
Yeah,
this
we'll
is
go.
oh, we have the mic over here, I'm sorry. All right, anybody that has any questions, come on up here. We're going to swear you in, you'll give us your name and address, and you can ask questions or state whatever you'd like to say.
Gordon R. Bertrand, B-E-R-T-R-A-N-D, 304 Mitchell Road, Green Avenue, 11553.
Did you sign in on this sheet?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I see, okay. Okay,
Okay, I talked to Mr. Richard Levon about some of my concerns, one being the restroom. I was concerned whether or not it was hitched to the sewer system, because that restroom was built in that facility in the early 60s.
So are you asking about the restroom proposed or an existing restroom?
It's the existing restroom, which is going to probably enlarge.
is there a restroom in that, what they're calling it?
I believe there is. It was designed for 2 or 3 people.
Okay, because what Mr. Pavone said already is that it's going to, I guess, be completely redone and hooked into the sewer, is that correct?
It's my understanding that there is a bathroom in there now that was used by the previous owner's landscape company.
No, excuse me. You said it over and over again. That was designed for 2 or 3 people that worked for St. Pius only. The crew that came in after St. Pius closed, the landscapers, was after the fact.
Okay, so
So in either way, what happened with St. Pius, we have clean slate, we're proposing a bathroom that has to comply with all the requirements as I stated in my presentation.
which include the sewer system, not
Yes,
septic.
that is correct.
Okay, I provided my name and address.
Yes.
email to show me the documentation of that. I'm concerned about usage of that bathroom. This facility, ever since the early 50s, late 40s, was used for parties. The whole field in the back was rented out to different organizations. The bathroom situation back then was in the basement of the Labelizing, which was a building that was in front of that semicircle. It was horrendous, the lines. I see that field in the back being used for many people for maybe a fair gathering, a lot more people than what the bathroom inside that garage can handle.
Mr. Babone, is this going to be used for any catering or only activities associated with the facility?
The bathroom, if approved by the building department under the building zone ordinance and this board, and approved, will comply with all requirements and used specifically operationally for the facility itself. That's it. It's additional bathrooms.
You accept that as a condition?
Yes, we will.
Mr. Bertrand, if this were to be granted, we can add that in as a condition that it cannot be used for anybody else.
Oh, sure, but how many people are we talking about? What is the capacity of the facility?
Wait, isn't this facility, I'm sorry, I missed this. Isn't this facility just an assisted living place?
That is correct.
So do the activities associated with, are they just things that are associated with the assisted living facility?
That is
Like if
correct.
someone has a birthday, maybe you'll have a birthday party outside? Or
But you also have to realize something, that the building itself is under what's called an Operation Level 3 renovation under the state of New York. That means the entire building is being renovated and being brought up into today's standards. This is accessory to the primary use, additional bathroom use. All it is adding bathrooms on the outside in a repurposed structure to allow people that are using the outside property, walking around, can have a place to be able to have a bathroom facility, which is the Board of Health code that you must have to provide bathrooms. The amount of people that are going to use this facility have bathrooms inside the facility plus additional outside. So what we're doing is adding more to make it even better for the operation, for quality of life.
but I'm taking him to say, in the context of the bathroom, that he, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm taking him to say that he thinks there's going to be big parties there, which have nothing to do with the bathroom, but the bathroom is the connection he's using. If I'm wrong, correct me, but am I correct that this facility is assisted living, the activities here are limited to that? If someone who lives there wants to have a party in the backyard, they will do so. Is that all we're talking about?
That's all. It's specifically for the use of St. Michael's. That's it.
Yeah, it could be a large use, it could be a fair.
Well, what do you mean
We've had
fair?
hundreds of fairs there over the years.
What do you mean by a fair? They have
A
some
fair
vendors
where
selling.
they have crafts and they have people coming games.
But wasn't this a school previously?
Yes.
Well, this is not a school anymore. This
Okay,
is a
but the
whole
school
different
didn't use the outside bathroom. My concern is how large are those pipes going to the building? If it is
You're right,
connected to the
it's not
system.
Again,
They'll meet the code.
that has to meet the plumbing code. That's it. Whatever the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers of record, they're licensed professional, they will file a set of plans in compliance with the requirements of the plumbing code.
Yeah, if
The
we
building
grant this,
department
they have
runs
to-
out and reviews it, plus the plumbing inspector reviews it and inspects the open trench of the piping that's being installed from the detached structure
Understood.
to the structure.
Next.
Oh, there's going to be new piping.
Oh, yeah.
They have to comply.
They have to bring it all up to code.
Okay, now my second question is about the new parking area on the, what do you call it, the east-west corner? The south? Wherever it is. I was told that that's going to be just for employees. Well, how many employees are we talking about? That's a pretty big parking lot.
Whoa, I don't think that's just for employees.
It's-
As I understood it, the parking on the two sides were predominantly employees, and then to the extent people have visitors and their own vehicles, if they do, that would be overflow.
That is correct.
again, I'm wondering about what capacity is this school going to have, or this building?
What's the capacity of the assisted living?
The whole facility, what's the capacity?
There's 147 beds being proposed.
147 bedrooms?
Yes.
Can I make a statement here? The use or the facility itself is not part of this variance today.
I understand, right,
So
let's
I
just,
want to go to the record that
We
we're
understand.
going into an area that has been.
I just want to let him
but
finish
it
his
already has
question.
104
We
beds.
understand.
It's already legalized.
So what would the workforce be to handle that?
What would the what?
How many
You handle
employees?
what?
How many people are they going to
How many
employ in the
employees?
building?
Okay.
I mean, it's very hard to say at this point, but between the caretakers, medical staff, administration, 40, 50 people, maybe even less than that.
All right.
And it also depends on the hours of the day. Where a day shift would be.
We'll be come back to
Not
this.
less than that, not less than that.
Okay.
So, Mr. Bertrand, can I just say one thing? I've now identified where you are on the radius map relative to the parking, and if I understand, and the parking is not near you in terms of noise, but if this parking is designed to take people off the street in front of your house, so I don't have a dog in the race, but I think it would actually be beneficial to most of the residents to make sure there's sufficient parking on site, to not have them parking in front of your house or the rest of the neighbor's house.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We lived with it the other way when it was a church. We lived with it the other way when it was the legalizing.
We were here when the original application came in.
Yeah.
We remember a lot of the conversation.
Yeah. So what I was trying to get on was how many people, they said, everybody out to the back door, we're going to have a party, we're going to sing happy birthday, we're going to have a welcome spring festival. So all those people going outside, now they're not going to all run inside to go to the bathroom. Again, I'm alluding to what sort of load capacity that external.
But it doesn't matter. The toilet flushes however many times, and they'll have to use it in order and flush it, and they're going to have it all of the code. I mean, I don't know.
Well, how many toilets and facilities are we going to have?
How many toilets, Mr. Pavone?
It's 3 female or 3 male. So that's
Six.
it. That's all we can fit in. And any kind of gathering is not going to be the entire facility going
But
outside.
even so, we have a right to do that.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, the facility will be up to code, and it is what it is.
One of the biggest reasons is when the elderly people are outside, they don't have to go all the way back into the facility. We're supplying them with the ability to use the toilets in the exterior.
Because from what I hear, it's harder to make it that distance. I don't know yet. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, thank you. I'll be waiting for Mr. Pavone's drawings.
Which drawings?
The sewage connection.
That's not going to be presented to us. That's going to go to the building department.
No, he assured me that he was.
Oh, okay. So you sent
I would
it.
like to give him a copy of the MEP plan showing the plumbing.
You have his contact
I
information?
just would need his contact information. I gave him my card, asked him to email me, and we're going to send him a copy of the MEP.
Very good.
Mr. Bertrand, he's expecting you to email him, so email him on the
I gave him my,
But he just said he wants you to email him to make sure there's a trigger.
Before you leave today, make sure you have each other's information. That way he can send you whatever you say. All right. Very good.
Mr. Bertrand, I want to also add that because you have a private deal, so to speak, with Mr. Pavone, it's not going to interfere with the board's decision.
I understand.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring it up to the surface.
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or wants to make any comments?
this proposed bathroom to be made or built, where will it be built and where can we see a diagram of what the facility is going to look like?
Still voting on these plans?
We can provide neighborhood with a copy of the set of plans that are submitted to the building department for the issue showing the facility will look at, which is what is what Franklin and you can email PDF or you can come pick it up now.
Okay, can I get the information?
Sure. Yes.
Mr. Gibb, look at that, it shows you where the proposed bathroom is and where your house is. I highlighted your house with me and the bathroom is blue. If that gives you some sort of orientation.
I noticed that there's a entrance on Oak Street. My question is, the next block over, Ninth Street, Willow Street, will there be an entrance on Willow Street?
No, they will not, their parking lot is in the way, there's no entrance at all, it's landscape.
Right. Anything else, Mr. Gibbs?
Yeah, and another thing, as far as I noticed the trees that are on that property, are those trees will be removed?
I mean, if there's specific trees, I can discuss it with you, but I mean, there are some trees have been removed.
I know some have been removed, but still there's still trees on the property there.
The majority of tree removal has happened, has occurred already. So, and that was all in conformance with the original plans. In this particular corner, there really wasn't many trees. It was, of substantial size in this area here.
So if there's a tree you're concerned about, maybe it sounds like it's offering to speak to that.
Yeah, well, I'm more than happy. So the other gentleman who just spoke before, also asked in particular about a specific tree, and Rich and I both said we'd follow up specifically on that tree separately. Yeah, so if there's an additional tree or a group of trees you're concerned about, more than happy to discuss with you. But the majority of the tree removal has occurred already.
And as far as the bathroom being constructed.
It's not an outhouse.
I know, it started with
I'm sorry. But as far as the construction of the bathroom, that will be used, you said, not in the wintertime?
It's seasonal use only, which means that to have that facility used in the wintertime, it would have to be tempered, and it would be easier to not have that and shut down the facility itself and drain all the time.
But in other words, the facility can be used year-round.
It can be if it was tempered. Right now, the proposal is to have a seasonal use bathroom.
Seasonal use? That was what months would that be? Seasonal?
From the time that the temperature comes up past 32 degrees to go back down to 32 degrees. Usually anywhere from, could be April, March, or April, all the way into November.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, all right. Anybody else? All right, Mr. Bavone, back to you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to close by saying that St. Michael wants to be a good neighbor in the Uniondale community. The reason why we're here today is to propose these changes which are quality of life and substantially increasing the parking to keep parking all of the residential streets. We believe that the proposal, two floor modifications, are minor in nature from the original approval granted in 2014.
Thank you. All right, so any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Bavone, you, your clients, and everyone else who signed in on the matter will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it is read. Thank you all for coming, for participating. Enjoy the remainder of your day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you all.
Westbury Equity One, Westbury Plaza LLC. Maintain one wall-mounted LED menu board sign not permitted in conjunction with existing Pt2 restaurant. Maintain second wall-mounted LED menu board sign not permitted in conjunction with existing Pt2 restaurant. Maintain third wall-mounted LED menu board sign not permitted in conjunction with existing Pt2 restaurant. Maintain one detached LED menu board sign not permitted in conjunction with existing Pt2 restaurant. Known as 1236 Old Country Road. So, Mr. Ray, you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please take a seat and say the name and address to the record.
Good afternoon, with the applicant, Matthew Labor from New York. Good afternoon, with the applicant, Matthew Labor from Law Firm Ryan Holman and DeLeo, 538 North Hollow Road, Suite 301, Melbourne, New York, 21747. I'm here today for Westbury Plaza's application to maintain the drive-thru menu board signs at the Pt2 restaurant located at 1236 Old Country Road in Westbury, and which is a pad site at the Westbury Plaza Shopping Center. Specifically, we seek the following relief: 3 sign variances to maintain 3 wall-mounted menu board signs and to maintain 1 detached menu board sign with the existing drive-thru at the restaurant. The public notice and the mailing and posting were performed in accordance with the town code and submitted prior to this afternoon's hearing. In addition, on October 24th of this year, LOS submitted the following documents in further support of this application: an aerial photograph, the site plan prepared by Boulder Engineering, site photographs including the menu board signs, a copy of the May 19, 2020 Town Board site plan approval for the Pt2 restaurant, which includes the existing drive-thru facility, as well as the town president, which includes the president chart and resolutions where this board has granted similar sign variance relief. With me this afternoon is Michael Biancanello, PP from Boulder Engineering. Our project engineer is available to address any questions you may have. So the site is zoned in the industrial zoning district where drive-thrus are permitted as a whole. And as previously mentioned, pursuant to the May 19, 2020 Town Board site plan approval, and this particular occupancy, the property is currently improved with the Pt2 restaurant and side-by-side drive-thru. The surrounding area is predominantly improved with other commercial use properties. Briefly to the west, there's a Best Buy followed by another shopping center, which includes a Trader Joe's, a Shake Shack, a Starbucks, and retail stores. East of the Westbury Plaza Shopping Center and across Fortune Way is the Source Mall. South of the property, across Transfer Straw, is a Target and movie theater. And north of the property, on the opposite side of Old Country Road, is a Burger King restaurant, as well as other restaurants and commercial developments, all of which is situated in the town of North Hempstead. So we submit that, as we go further explain, we submit that the balance of the area variance factors based in favor of the applicant. So as previously mentioned, the property is located in a commercial area and surrounded by other commercial development. Granting this sign variance application for the Pt2 drive-thru will not change the use of the property, nor will it change the established commercial character along Old Country Road. As noted, this site plan with the drive-thru was approved by the town board, and it's not feasible for the applicant to achieve the benefit of the approved drive-thru without sign variance relief. And as will be further explained by our project engineer, the Pt2 drive-thru accommodates a total of 19 vehicles measured from the pickup window before there would be any potential impact to overall site circulation. This 19 vehicle queuing capacity exceeds the capacity for other drive-through facilities approved by this board. For example, in the matter of McDonald's at 1050 Front Street, which is case numbers 491 through 495, decided on June 29th of 2022. The side-by-side drive-through accommodated 13 vehicles. And similarly, in the matter of McDonald's at 3839 Hempstead Turnpike, Levittown, it's case numbers 114 through 116, decided on January 26th of this year. The side-by-side drive-through was able to accommodate 17 vehicles. We submit that the size of the sign variances are the minimum necessary to achieve the benefit of the town board approval, as well as the benefit of the side-by-side drive-through service. And prior to this hearing, our office submitted a precedent chart showing where this board has granted similar sign variance relief for other drive-throughs. Granting this application will not have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood, as the property is already developed and all municipal services are available to it. In terms of the need for this relief being self-created, New York case law is clear that this factor is not dispositive. In conclusion, in light of balancing other areas with variance factors in favor of the application, this factor should not be determined as the benefits of the applicant clearly outweighs any possible detriment to the community. So with that, I would like to open up the hearing for any questions that you may have, and our project engineer is available to answer any questions.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I was looking at the material. I just want to follow where the, I apologize. Are they all wall mounted?
There's 3 wall mounted, and then the one sign that's a detached sign at the southerly side of the property.
It's a detachment, I just want to make sure I know
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah, so there's on the southern, where the drive-through queue is, on the southerly side, in the middle, where there's an island, that's where the detached sign is.
What is it denoted as here?
Yeah, so on the sign
There's more
plan.
than one island, so.
Okay, on the sign plan, it's noted as sign number 8.
On the, what do you call this, the signage section.
Yeah.
Sign number 8. On the south side, you see it just really right there. You see it? Sorry.
Yes.
I see pink, but it doesn't even, oh, I see, yes, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, so it's not in a place that would obstruct the view of any vehicles entering or exiting the premises.
No.
The others are all wall mounted,
Correct.
and I apologize if you already said it, or any of them. I assume one or more of them have the speaker, etc. But you're not near any residential areas, so that would not be an issue.
Actually, their business model is face-to-face interaction, so they're just vendors. They work with the
Really?
Yes.
So is it more like a Chick-fil-A thing where
Yes.
where you pull up and the person comes with a iPad or something? And
Yes, for the outside lane, the southern lane, that maybe more for sign 8 will use, that allows somebody there with an iPad taking the order.
I gotcha.
And then for the main lane along the building, there's actually a window where you're speaking to somebody at the southern portion.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Are there anything that you would like to add?
No, that concludes our presentation.
Got any other motions from the board?
Hearing to close the matter be placed on the decision calendar. You will both receive a copy of the decision by mail once it's ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
Next, we have case 73722, Oceanside, 3055 Cherry Street, LLC. Variance and off-street parking with parking spaces extending over property line, special exception to parking in the front yard setback, known as 3055 New Street.
attorney for the applicant.
Sean Moran, Moran Engineering, 425, Franklin Road, CD, Traffic Engineer. 3055, Mystery LLC, 76, Broadway,
Good afternoon. The application before you today is for parking variance and parking in the front yard setback in connection with an application to maintain interior alterations to an existing warehouse. Subject premises is located at 3055 New Street, Oceanside. It's known as Section 43, Lot 194, Lot 142 on the Nassau County Land Tax Map. Subject premises is located in the industrial zone. Subject premises is also located on a peninsula developed primarily with industrial-type uses, although there are a few homes and a restaurant on that peninsula as well. Subject premises is developed with a warehouse building that was constructed in 1969. There are no additions proposed to the building that has been there since that time. The application comes before you today because of interior alterations that change the mix of warehouse to accessory office space. The warehouse is divided into 4 separate tenant spaces, and the building department determined that as a result, the parking variance is required, with 45 spaces required and 28 conforming spaces provided on site. But I would also note that there are 40 usable spaces on site, including the ones in the front yard setback that require special exceptions.
Can't hear.
With regard to the encroachment of certain spaces at the rear of the premises, I would note that portion of Access Road is a private road that is part of the adjacent tax lot 150, and you have a letter from the owner of that parcel, which has some of the same principles as the applicant consenting to the encroachment.
Wait, when you say access road, are you referring to New Street?
No, so if you're looking at the British map?
Oh, the other side.
Yeah.
Oh,
The rear of the house.
Those are the encroaching ones, or both of them?
The ones that, the parking spaces that encroach are the ones on Access Road, the private road on the rear.
What about on New Street?
New Street, the only thing we have on New Street, those are all conforming, except we have, I think it's 3 or 4 that are in the front yard setback, but none of them emerge.
Oh, the dotted line is the, I see.
Okay,
I'm sorry, can you restate this in the middle of what the basis is for having this on access? I know you said it, I apologize.
Okay, so Access Road is actually not a road, it's part of tax lot 150, it's part of a parcel. And I have a letter from the owner of that parcel, 1800 Access LLC, is shown on the radius map consenting to that encroachment and them to submit. And I did indicate that there's some of the same principles of the 2 LLCs.
Is that a permit that you're doing?
No. There are easements in this area, but there's no easement in that area.
So is it called a road just because the owner called it a road, or is it somehow town property?
So it is Access Road continues. So there is a public portion of Access Road that goes between Atlantic Avenue and New Street.
North or south?
Going north. And then it terminates, and then it's really a private driveway.
So
It's
did
labeled
it used to
Access
be
Road,
private?
it's a private driveway.
Did it used to be public land?
I do not know if that was once a town road that was abandoned. Yeah, I do not know for sure if that was once a town road and then abandoned and made part of this parcel, but I do know at this time it is part of that adjacent parcel. It is not public road. It's a driveway. So I split that letter of consent. I also have aerial photos to show the floor, so you can see the subject premises in the surrounding areas. And I have a few photos of the subject building and the property across the street, and also the property to the south that has a similar front yard setback parking, just as we propose.
We'll accept those amendments.
I don't see lot numbers online, so which lot does the access road go in?
Okay, do you have the radius map?
I am looking at it.
Okay, so If you see Access Road,
I see it.
okay, if you follow all the way down going south, it should say 1800 Access LLC.
Yes, I have that. I just don't have a lot.
That's part of that parcel, and I did give you an aerial photo which will show that full tax lot, including the building on that parcel and the driveway to New Street.
And could you just mind repeating what you said about the agreement? I heard the fact that it's not permanent, but did you also say that there are overlapping executives or
Yes, I
partners
said-
in business with
Right.
the subject
Prin-
property?
That's correct. The principals of 1800 Access LLC, some of those principals also are principals or members of 3055 New Street LLC, and provided a letter of consent and encroachment.
But Access Road is or is not a portion of 1800?
It is,
Access
and
Road
that
LLC.
location is south of New Street. It is part of that parcel.
Okay, so then 1800 Access LLC could give an easement to the parcel in question that we're dealing with right now.
Yes.
But they have not yet in writing.
There is no deed of easement.
Well, because in order for us to be able to grant something, they have to this particular parcel, they've got to have a legal right to be there. So without a written easement agreement, we can't grant them the right. What happens if they change ownership on the other parcel?
Well, we do have, enough space. We do have 28 spaces in the front.
But you're asking us to grant these parking spots, which we may not legally be able to do unless there's something in writing that permits them to use that portion of the backup space.
Then I would request that after we conclude this hearing, if the record could be kept open, so I can confirm if we can submit that written agreement, and yourself also make the draft to the board.
We can discuss that, whether we keep it open or we just make it an additional on some type of recorded easement granting the right to do what you're proposing.
Understood.
Okay?
Mr. Member, it's a warehouse. What is the nature of the use of the warehouse?
So there's 4 10 spaces there. There's a medical supply, a stucco supply, a nutrition supply, and a veterinary supplier services company.
And what causes you to come to the board today looking for additional parking?
So this building in 1969 was built and CO'd as a single-tenant warehouse with a certain amount of warehouse space and office space. Now the mix of office space versus warehouse space has changed.
Also, is
The office space is built all accessory to the warehouses. There's no independent
But it was
office.
not that way in 69.
In 69, there was less office space because it was just a single user. Now each of the 4 tenants have an accessory office.
Okay.
So because the mix changed, the building department determined that changed the parking required, and that's why we're sending me here.
So what was the parking required? Was the single use with single office space? Did it, Mr. Mulryan?
What we looked at was the overall building parking warehouse would require 25 parking spaces.
I understand and I know where you're going. I want to know what was the requirement in 69, the number.
Before you answer, we can leave an address on the record?
Yes.
We did. Okay, and we qualified you as an expert on parking and traffic. Since the last time we did so, have there been any changes in your credentials? All right, we'll continue your qualification as an expert, and now you're free to testify.
So what was in 69 parking requirements with the warehouse and 1 office? The additional 3 or 4 offices now, how much did that increase the parking?
I don't know how they calculated the parking originally. What I can say is that as a use, if you look at the entire building as warehouse and don't count the accessory office as an individual office, the parking requirement would be 25. We have 28 spaces which are acceptable. They're not in the front yard setback because they don't approach the front property. So the 28 were accepted by the building department.
How many do you need today?
Today, because the offices were broken out and calculated as a standalone office, parking requirement goes up to 45.
45. 45.
So 25 for the office and 20 for the warehouse space. Total of 45.
Of that, because I don't have a site plan mark, generally the building department marks a site plan acceptable, not acceptable. I don't have that.
Okay, I do have our site plan, and I have the denial letter. So, show you what they both indicate.
I mean, there could be backup space and
So the denial letter indicates accessory parking provided 45 spaces, parking required 45 spaces, parking provided 40 spaces, acceptable parking 28 spaces, parking required front yard setback, and parking extends over the property line.
okay. So
And the site plan showed breaks that 45 down by 25 spaces required for the office, not the town square footage of office space we have, and 20 spaces required for the amount of square footage of warehouse space we have.
So it says 12 spaces required by employees.
It's square footage or employees, whichever is greater.
Right.
And the end of the result of the calculation is that it's based on the square footage.
Okay.
Because that's the greater.
How many employees will be in the entire facility working there, I'll say full-time or in the offices?
Okay, so according to the site plan, it's one space for each 3 employees, and they need 12 spaces for employees, so that's 36 office employees.
Are they going to have 36 office employees?
All 4 tenants together?
Yes. That's my question.
I don't know the exact number of employees. I assume that that was reviewed with the architect prepared this, so I assume you reviewed that with the applicant.
He may have just been filling in the numbers so that it works to the equation.
Well, no, because he could put much higher on employees and it would still work for the equation. And they're also showing that there's 10 warehouse employees with a total of 46 employees. So actually on the square footage, we can have much higher numbers of employees because we parked based on the square footage, which is a much higher number.
The calculation for employees would require 20 employees or vehicles, because for the warehouse you require 1 for 1, and over 75 employees for the office spaces to get up to the requirements of the square footage. So when we went out there was between 20 and 25 cars parked there, late morning, early afternoon when everyone was there. These are uses that generally break up earlier in the day. By 5 o'clock, there's a handful of people.
So you saw a maximum of 25 cars
On the site, correct.
You mentioned, Mr. Pellegrini asked, you mentioned that the reason that you came for us now is some sort of change in some portion of the use.
Interior alterations that change the mix of office versus warehouse space in the building.
And that's solely what led to this issue, giving rise to this issue.
That's correct.
So when they came out to inspect for the interior alterations, they need variance on that. Unless you need inspection to close it out, right?
Right, yeah, so they filed to maintain the interior alterations with the building department, and as a result of their filing, the building department determined that they needed this parking variance.
And I'm sorry, I know you already said it, the 4 businesses, warehouse.
So they're all warehouse businesses. You have a Stucco Supply. These are the current tenants. A nutrition supply company, a medical supply company, and you have a veterinary services and supply company.
And if you said it already, I apologize. I assume there are like delivery trucks to deliver the supplies.
Yes.
And where are those kept when they're not being used?
In the front of the building, there's overhead doors, but primarily in the back of the building, there are also overhead doors. So just to quickly go back to the office space, of the 24,912 square feet of the overall building, 4,984 square feet is used as office. 4,984, and that's between the 4 tenants. So plus minus a little over 1,000 square foot per tenant for the 4 uses.
And the other 20,000 square foot is warehouse and trucks.
Correct.
Parking inside.
And they're basically all warehouse, wholesale businesses, so there's not a lot of showroom type activity. And
Is there any showroom?
There's office spaces, but it's generally the back of the building is warehouse, and there's a small office in the front type of thing. This is Access Road. This is tax lot 150 in the back. Tax lot 150 encompasses this property here and this portion of Access Road up to New Road. So this intersection is where lot 150 ends. If you see this property, the rear of this property is on Access Road. The rear of this property, which is the tennis center, is also on Access Road. There is a cut through along this property, which is the property to the south, which goes from New Street to Access Road. But there's also property or access from Access Road onto that. This is tax lot 155 to the south end of Access Road. This is otherwise essentially landlocked.
So which one's landlocked?
Tax lot 155.
Mine doesn't show 155.
That's off the radius map.
So it's just to give
How
a
does
frame of reference.
Does the landlocked property also use Access Road?
When you drive here and you're at this intersection, the look and feel is that this is a general roadway open. However, it is signed as a private road.
But does the landlocked one use the road?
It looks like they also use, there's an alley there. It looks like there's an alley that accesses New Street on the left. Where New Street and alley meet?
Right there. But this property is on, so it goes through other, this properties are all kind of intertwined.
Does the landlocked property, I don't have that lot number on my map, or it's operating, or whatever it is. Does the landlocked property overlap the executives or principals, or is it unrelated to the principals of the subject property and the 1,800 access?
Unrelated.
Okay. And so what about so we're talking about other businesses who use also Access Road who are not related. So I'm just concerned about the fact that we're talking about putting parking spots partially, at least in that road. One of them almost looks entirely in that road.
So
is that an issue?
One of the things I addressed in my report is that the width of that roadway or that area is 40 feet across.
That's 40 feet.
Allowing one lane in each direction, 12 feet wide, 24 feet, with 8-foot shoulders on either side. None of that is striped, but the width provides for that. There is actually a set of utility poles which runs the length of Access Road, which forms essentially correct. Those parking spaces are to the west of the utility poles.
They're not in the street defined by those poles.
Correct. So visually, if you drive down that street, there's a set of utility poles which would give you the sense of this is the roadway, this is
and these
on the other
proposed
side.
spots don't encroach into the visual.
Correct. And so therefore, they don't interfere with the traffic flow on that private section of roadways. And there's no interference in terms of anyone else that's using that section of property, which is an access road.
And you probably already said it, but the right-of-way easement, that is the right-of-way that your client is benefiting.
No, the subject property doesn't have an easement as of today.
No, on the south of the property, it's identified on the map as right-of-way easement.
That's all part of
That's a walkway. I believe for the tennis center. So it just leads from.
So it's not used by the.
No,
it's not vehicular.
No. And that's just beyond our past property line, so that's not our easement. And they were just this building's been there since 1969 like this. The easement hasn't. No, easement hasn't come up before, but if it was necessary, we have to.
It sort of feels simple to say, but you have that landlocked parcel all the way down in the south there. Do they have an easement for ingress and egress at the?
I do not know. The only one I know that has an easement is the one in the corner on
if you look on the Ravens map, tax lot 154 New Street, Associates LLC, they have an easement to use tax the private drive and access road. I'm not aware of the parcel that's landlocked, that's further south having an easement. And they do have, it does look like they have another access point with an alleyway to New Street.
Well, if they had another access point, they wouldn't be landlocked by definition.
Well, I'm just using that as reference to say that access road is used by these other businesses. It's labeled when you go out there as a private roadway, but there's understanding, I guess you will, that this has been used like this. The building's developed with doors facing access road. So for the owner of that property to turn around and restrict this would be contrary to how it's been used. Not that it's...
Did it get news if I had what is the business? I said restricted.
Oh, yeah,
I said it. But what about, that's why I said intelligent, because for them to stop using, I would say would be intelligent so they don't have to be restricted. But what is the business of 1800 access?
Thank you.
If you know.
We do not know what business my client
they have shared
principals. That principal's not here. He owns the property. He doesn't operate the business. The other principal.
Okay.
Michael's absent. He's signed the letter that I sent.
I didn't see that. So he owns the property, but not the business?
He is a member of both 1800 Access LLC and 3055 New Street LLC.
But we have no idea what the business is?
I don't know. I know all the businesses for the subject property, I don't know the business for 1800.
When I visited the site, I believe there's multiple tenants in that building.
In 1800, we're referring to
1800, correct, which is lot 150. One of them, I think, is like a party bus limousine type business, and some other uses which I didn't particularly take note of. But you can see from the aerial photograph here that there's a large number of different buses and trucks. So this is again an industrial use on the south end of Access Road, and these are other warehouse type industrial uses on the east side of Access Road.
waves advance by you, Steve.
All right, case 729 through 732, Uniondale, Peter Lemros, DBA, St. Michael's Home INC. Yeah, 1220 Front Street in Uniondale. Do we have any discussion on this case?
I thought it was a good case.
This, all in all, it's really a very small variance that they're asking for. I know what the concern is. I just think the neighbors did not understand the fault of the benefit.
Yeah, I think that they should bring it up to code. And I think the idea that bringing it up to code is actually a positive.
And by the way, the original application was as a nursing home, so the idea is it's a memory. There's nothing different than what they were.
I think now that the amendments community came out on that commission have discovered what they actually know, I felt like they were okay. But, you know, they wanted to set things on the code to handle these applications.
So get it up. Do you have a motion? Do I have a motion? Somebody make a motion.
I move cases 729 through 732 of 2022. St. Michael's Home, located at 1220 Front Street, Uniondale, be granted as requested.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next case is 733 through 736 of 23 Westbury. Equity 1, Westbury Plaza LLC. I would like to hold that case.
I think so.
Okay.
We need to look into a couple of things. Next case, 737 of 22 Oceanside, 3055 New Street LLC. Property is 3055 New Street in Oceanside.
I think I'd like to take a look at it, and I will just say that to the extent that if the board is at some point inclined to grant the case, because it doesn't otherwise look to be that opposing, we definitely would have to limit any grant to being not just revocable, but revoked in the event that any contractual right to using the property for the parking proposed is discontinued.
I would take a little different approach on that. I want them to give us a written, recorded easement in perpetuity.
Well, if you get that,
That way we don't have to worry about it in the future.
Yes.
Now you get everything in. I would deny the case. Because they have 28 spaces legit on property, and that's what he said that he needed for his permanent employees.
Well, for the employees, but what is the building department's requirement? I thought he said 45 or something.
Yes, but he doesn't use it.
Oh, I see what you're
As
saying.
testified by his expert.
Yeah, that's not a bad approach.
The most the people were there, Mulroney counted 25 spaces.
I actually am leaning toward Joe's approach. Because
They provide 20
except,
spaces.
wait, but if we do that, they can't have a use there.
Yes, they can.
I don't think so. I like it otherwise.
They can't get a certificate of occupancy.
Right, without,
I mean, yes, the parking would be sufficient based on the testimony, but they wouldn't be able to legally use it
Agreed.
if they wouldn't have a CO.
Agreed.
Because the building department wouldn't sign off
do
on it.
we have a mechanism to say, we're not granting you the right to use space in that area, but we'll grant you the right to have that use and get a CO based on the number of spaces you do have?
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. I
Research that one. Research it.
Let's see if we can do it. If we can.
See if you get it.
He's got it.
If the board denies the case, can they still operate as proposed?
Well, we would have to grant the right to operate with fewer spots.
Yeah, there's going to be left.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that, it would function,
Like a variance. I got you.
I'll look at it.
It's a
Because it
variance.
makes a difference, because if we don't give the variance to spots, the change of use doesn't have the right to have a use that needs more spots.
The only variance before us is a variance in off-street parking.
Right.
That's the only.
Over the property lines and insufficient.
But
But
we
the
can-
variance in
we
off-street
can-
parking makes it able, if we denied it, they can't make it, like John said,
I'm not that correct.
like Mr. Hillis.
Research it, we'll come back, I'll let you know in our reserve, we'll come back. All right, anything else? Oh, yeah, it's looking first page. 718 and 719 and 22 Levittown, 22 Moss Lane in Levittown. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that place
second accessory structure. So you're not having a second, they have to remove the shed in its entirety. Not
Okay, can we grant the second accessory structure, but not in the side yard?
correct. You can say that. So it'd be granted and then granted in part denied.
Yeah, right, and second accessory structure, but not that side.
Second.
Oh,
You made the motion.
Joe, do you have to use the restroom? Do you have to use the restroom? Well, here's what I think. I think that, no, can I say something? You had a say. I'd like to have a say. Since it's a plastic shed, to be honest, it could even be moved in the event of an emergency.
What if he changes it to a wooden shed?
Well, what if we limit it to a plastic shed? What if we limit it to a plastic shed? Okay.
Yeah.
What does everyone think?
I didn't have a big problem with it being
Can we
the
hold
side
it,
yard.
please, and maybe someone's going to look at it?
Okay, let's do that.
Hold it. Okay, what else, guys?
New from this afternoon.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
No, we have to make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
I got one more. Most part of it.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see you later. I don't know, we're going to go with spring. That's right. Well, I mean, Disney restaurants are around. I mean, honestly, I might as well walk to King of Firehouse. They're there. What's that?